Hi, I'm Summer Tothill, and every week I do a Q&A on my Instagram stories with my followers where I answer questions about gender equality. I compile these here on YouTube in long form so that you don't have to spend your day tapping through Instagram stories. Let's get started with the first question.
Why is the grape fantasy so common among women?
Content warning on this one for sexual assault discussion, of course, but let's get into it. Why are rape fantasies common for women? It does seem nonsensical that women would have rape fantasies, or what used to be called ravishment fantasies, which is a kind of Victorian prudish way of talking about what is just sexual assault and non-consent. It seems nonsensical that we would have these fantasies because for women, being sexually assaulted is at the absolute bottom of the list of things that we would want to happen to us in our lives. Now, this person had a part 2 of their question where they also asked, does this have something to do with the patriarchy? So, I am not a sex expert, but I have been reading about people's sex lives, sexual health, and sexual relationships because I'm really interested in that subject for at least 25 years. So hopefully I have some insights that I can share on this. I think, and many sexologists and sex advice columnists think, that rape fantasies are mostly appealing to women purely because they are taboo. It can be really tempting to attribute all of our sexual proclivities and sexual fantasies to some sort of deeper meaning or to some sort of trauma that has happened to us. Some people try to characterize a predilection for BDSM as something that only people who have been abused or assaulted do as a way to process through it. But that's absolutely not true because people from all walks of life and experience are into BDSM. And similarly, our fantasies don't have to be any great reflection of the complexities of our psyche or of things that have happened to us. And an enormous amount of what turns humans on sexually is taboo, not being allowed to do something or something being the wrong thing to do. I mean, think about the current absolute infestation of incest porn on the internet. And a lot of these videos are just repurposed old videos that would have been called something else 10 years ago, and they've just been re-uploaded to Pornhub with a new label on them saying stepmom or stepdad or stepsister. It's because it's taboo, and we have already normalized a lot of old taboos that we used to find, titillating, like oral sex used to be uncommon and now it's completely par for the course. And so I don't mean to minimize how complex a rape fantasy might be for any individual woman, but I think it has to be okay for it just to be sexy for some people because it's taboo.
I'm salty that my male coworker can be lazy and incompetent at his job while the rest of us bust our ass.
Not so much a question but a statement, but I'm including it because I think a lot of people can relate to this, including me. I would be very salty about this, and the reason I know that is because I have also seen this happen. I have been part of this exact scenario in the workplace with a woman or group of women working really, really hard, busting their asses, being very diligent, following all the rules, and not getting anything like rewarded or really acknowledged for it, while men do half as much and also don't face any punishments. In fact, sometimes they get rewarded for the way they behave. They do what's called failing upwards, and this happens to mediocre men more than you can imagine. We are not just salty about this because there is an inherent inequality in one person being lazy and incompetent and other people being not lazy and being competent and working hard and trying to do their best. We are also salty because there is a gendered element to this that you are not crazy for observing, and that makes the whole thing that much more unbearable. We already know that women suffer from the pay gap, right? The gender pay gap. And the gender pay gap is not a situation of women simply being paid less for the same roles as men, no matter what extremely ignorant men on the internet will tell you, that is not actually what the pay gap describes. The pay gap describes a group of phenomenon that affect women throughout their earning lives and their career that result in them having lower salaries and less money overall. One of the factors of the pay gap is that women are discriminated against in the hiring process, the promotions process, and in the getting of opportunities and professional development. So women are given less opportunity to prove themselves and are rewarded less for trying to prove themselves throughout their working life. We also suffer from something called the authority gap. Mary Ann Sieghart wrote about in her book called The Authority Gap, which is a proven phenomenon that means that people of all genders credit women less for their knowledge, don't listen to them, won't take their expertise as given, interrupt them, don't like being told what to do by women. So you're probably seeing this guy being incompetent in the workplace and you're like, that is not even going to affect his trajectory here. He is probably still going to get promoted. I've seen it happen constantly, and I've been in the workforce for 20 years or more now. And if he doesn't get promoted in the workplace where you are, there's still a chance that what he'll do is use this job to leapfrog to like a much better, much higher paying job while you're staying there trying to prove yourself and trying to reap rewards of doing a good job. So if you wanted any suggestion out of this rather than just a space to vent, my suggestion would be take your expertise somewhere else, because if the gap in people's competent and effort level where you are currently working is not actually causing managers to kind of sit up and go, something's wrong here, then you should take your talents and your diligence to a new role where you will almost certainly automatically get a pay rise due to going into a new job. If the pandemic and Gen Z's attitude towards work has taught us everything, is that there's no sense in being loyal to an employer. And if they won't acknowledge the hard work you're doing, then you can just go and get acknowledged somewhere else.
I'm a nurse and the profession is 95% women, but managers are 70% men where I am. How?
In female-dominated industries like nursing and teaching and childcare, it is shockingly common for the upper levels of management to be held by men. There is a phenomenon known as the glass elevator. So instead of hitting the glass ceiling as women do, men get to ride their little glass elevator rocket ship to the top of the management levels, where they then get to look down upon and order around women who have less experience than them. This is all part of the pay gap. It relates to something I was talking about in the previous question, where we have things like discrimination against women in hiring, promotion, and in the authority gap, where women are basically not assumed to know things. So even in industries where women have the most expertise, they still fall afoul of these ingrained misogynistic social phenomena which do not respect women for the experience they have, their leadership abilities, and which decline to give women power, and I hate it.
That's it for this Q&A. Thank you so much for listening. Find me on Instagram at summertothill. That's summer with an O, spelt the same way as you see in this YouTube channel. I can't wait to see you there.